This piece is called Sometimes It's Me. This is the original version of the piece that I presented at Joshua House of Worship on August 16th. This is the raw director's unedited cut, if I must say so. Sometimes it's me. One day I went to church, ready for God to deal with everybody who had ever hurt me. You know, the people who lied, the ones who left, the ones who mishandled something they should have treasured. I had names, receipts, dates, screenshots. I could tell God exactly who did what, when they did it, and why I am the way that I am. And then God had the audacity to hand me a mirror. Because apparently, sometimes it's me. See, I've gotten really good at recognizing brokenness when it belongs to someone else. I can spot a red flag from across the room, tell you who needs therapy, who needs deliverance, who needs accountability, who needs to apologize, who needs to heal, and who needs to change. But somehow, I need bifocals when it's time to look at myself. Because we all have blind spots, places in ourselves we cannot see until God or somebody who loves us enough holds up a mirror to tell us the truth. And blind spots are dangerous because you can hurt people from a place you didn't even know is wounded. You can repeat what hurt you while believing you are nothing like the person who hurt you. You can call it protecting your peace when really you're avoiding accountability. Call it a boundary when really you built a wall. Call it discernment when really it's fear. Call it that's just how I am when what you really mean is I haven't decided to heal yet. And if I'm ever going to rebuild this life, I have to stop decorating the rubble. Because I kept praying, God, fix it. Fix my family. Fix my relationships. Fix my heart. Fix the places in me that kept hurting every time somebody touches them. God, put me back together. But I kept handing him the same broken pieces in the same broken order. And wondering why everything I rebuilt kept falling apart. Maybe before I ask God to rebuild anything, I need to make an appointment with myself. Put my name on my own calendar. Sit across the table from the person I've been avoiding and realize we have the same face. No phone, no distraction, no rehearsing what everybody else did wrong. Just me, God, and the truth I've been too busy to tell myself. And maybe the first question at that appointment isn't, who hurt you? Maybe it's, what have you done with the hurt? Because pain can explain my behavior, but eventually it cannot continue to excuse it. So God, show me me. Show me where pride has disguised itself as confidence. Show me where control has disguised itself as care. Show me where avoidance has disguised itself as peace. Show me where unforgivingness has disguised itself as boundaries. Show me where the thing that wounded me became the thing I started using to wound somebody else. Because maybe I've been looking for an enemy when the first cycle I need to confront is spiritual sabotage. Who am I blaming for what I kept doing to myself? I blame the devil for doors I kept reopening, called it warfare, when sometimes it was the consequence of my own choices. Asked God to remove temptation, then kept its number in my phone. Prayed, Lord, order my steps, then got mad when his direction didn't match where I wanted to go. Asked God for peace while maintaining a relationship with chaos. asked him to close the door, and then stood there with my hand on the knob. And every time he delivered me, I found another reason to go back, which brings me to the next cycle, identity crisis. Because what happens when God delivers you, but you still identify with the person you had to become while you were bound? God changed my address, but I kept forwarding my mail back to Egypt. He brought me out, but Egypt was familiar. And sometimes familiarity feels safer than freedom. At least in Egypt, I knew who I was. I knew how to survive. I knew how to shrink. I knew how to perform. I knew how to accept crumbs and call them provision. I knew how to be needed without ever asking whether I was valued. I knew how to survive things God never intended for me to call home. So when freedom came, I didn't always know what to do with it, because freedom required an identity I hadn't met yet. And sometimes bondage wasn't holding me. I was holding bondage. Going back to what God had already delivered me from, because the old version of me still knew my name. But God didn't bring me out so I could renovate Egypt. He didn't break chains so I could keep them as souvenirs. He didn't deliver me so I could spend the rest of my life romanticizing what almost destroyed me. So maybe the question isn't only, God, when are you going to change this? Maybe the question is, what are you trying to change in me? Because sometimes it's them. Sometimes what happened to me was unfair. At some point, I was betrayed. I was abandoned. I was mistreated. There were times I deserved an apology that I never received. And healing doesn't require me to lie about that. But if I make everything somebody else's fault, I give everybody else power over my rebuilding. So sometimes it's me. Sometimes I'm the one who needs to apologize. Sometimes I'm the one who needs to listen. Sometimes I'm the one who needs to stop running. Sometimes I'm the one who needs to forgive. And sometimes I'm the one who needs to change. I'm the one who needs to stop asking God to bless a pattern He has been trying to break. So don't just heal what they did to me, God. Heal what was created in me by what they did to me. Heal the reflex, the defense, the reaction. Heal the need to always be right. Heal the fear that makes me run from healthy things. Heal the part of me that learned dysfunction so well, I started calling it personality. Search me, know me, reveal my blind spots, and give me enough humility not to argue with you when you show them to me. Because I cannot break a cycle I refuse to admit, a cycle I'm helping repeat. And I cannot rebuild a life while refusing to inspect my own foundation. So today, I am keeping the appointment, sitting with myself. I'm looking in the mirror. I'm telling the truth. And I'm giving God permission to show me me. Because the first thing I may need God to rebuild isn't my family, isn't my relationship, isn't my finances, isn't my reputation. Maybe the first thing God needs to rebuild is me. And if rebuilding me means breaking something, then break it. Break the pride, break the pattern, break the denial, break the excuses, break my agreement with dysfunction, break my attraction to what you already delivered me from. Break every cycle I inherited and every cycle I created. Because I may have inherited it, but I don't have to hand it down. I may have witnessed it, but I don't have to repeat it. I may have survived it, but survival does not mean having to make a home there. And somebody has to decide, this ends with me. The spiritual sabotage, this ends with me. The identity crisis, this ends with me. the silence, the shame, the settling, the self-sabotage, the habit of bleeding on people who never cut me. This ends with me. But healing, that can begin with me. Truth, that can begin with me. Accountability, that can begin with me. Healthy love, let that begin with me. Faith, let that begin with me. Because I am not the end of my family's story, I can be the place where God changes the direction of it. The place where somebody finally looked at the rubble instead of decorating it. The place where somebody made an appointment with themselves and actually showed up. The place where somebody stopped pointing long enough to look in the mirror. The place where somebody had enough faith to admit, sometimes it's me. And enough courage to decide, but it doesn't have to keep being me. So I'm rebuilding, brick by brick, prayer by prayer, truth by truth, choice by choice, until the people coming behind me don't have to recover from the things I had the courage to confront. This is how you rebuild a broken life. You identify the cycle, you confront the pattern, you acknowledge the blind spot, you keep the appointment, you let God show you you. And then you stop asking, who is going to break the cycle? You look in the mirror and say, I will. Because sometimes it's me. And this time, the accountability starts with me. The healing starts with me. And the cycle, this ends with me. Therapy complete.